Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining this morning, Srimad Bhagavatam class and attending japa. Let's make a start. We're still talking about Prthu Maharaj, and very interesting it is. Remember last time Lord Vishnu came to see Maharaj and he blessed him and asked him for a boon, everything. So anyway, that was then. And now we're talking about another sacrifice Prthu Maharaj conducted, and we're going to discuss that. It's very interesting. So, Hare Krishna. So, once upon a time, King Prthu initiated the performance of a very great sacrifice in which great saintly sages, Brahmins, demigods from higher planet systems, and great saintly kings known as Raj Rishis all assembled there. So, King Prthu said, "O gentle members of the assembly, may all good fortune be upon you. May all of you great souls who have come to attend this meeting kindly hear my prayer attentively. A person who is actually inquisitive must present his decision before an assembly of noble souls." So Sunday we were talking about amazing souls, and Prthu Maharaj talks about noble souls, and he's talking about what else did he call them? Anyway, so great souls, yes, noble souls, great souls. In this verse, the word all great souls is very significant. Sri Prabhupada mentions, when a person is very great and famous, many unscrupulous persons become his enemies, for envy is the nature of the materialists. In any meeting, there are different classes of men, and therefore it is to be supposed that because Prthu Maharaj was very great, he must have had several enemies present in the assembly, although they could not express themselves. Maharaj Prthu, however, was concerned with persons who were gentle, and therefore he first addressed all the honest persons, not caring for the envious. So that should be our attitude. In any assembly, there will be a mixture of people. Some people will envy you, some will praise you, this will support you. So you focus on those people. That's the best policy. He did not, however, present himself as a royal authority, empowered to command everyone. What he wanted to present his statement in humble submission before the assembly of great sages and saintly persons. So there's a lesson to us as well. So we feel that, we're in that situation, stay humble and don't do any offenses. As a great king of the entire world, he could have given them orders, but he was so humble, meek, and honest that he presented his statement for approval in order to clarify his mature decision. Everyone within this material world is conditioned by the modes of material nature and therefore has 4 defects. But although Prthu Maharaj was above all these, because he was empowered by the Lord himself, still like an ordinary conditioned soul, he presented his statements to the great souls, sages, and saintly persons present there. So great example to learn from Prthu Maharaj. Let's do a quick prayer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vachalam Pangum Langyate Garim Yat Kirpatam Ham Vande Shri Guru Dharanam Brahmananda Madhvam Shittaneshram Ariyam Tassat Narayam Namaskritya Naram Cheva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatojayam Uduriyat Nasta Preshav Abadareshu Nityam Bhagavad Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Neshtaki. Hare Krishna. So King Prthu continued, by the grace of the Supreme Lord, I have been appointed the king of this planet, and I carry the scepter to rule the citizens, protect them from all danger, and give them employment according to their respective positions in the social order established by Vedic injunctions. So we're talking about the Varna and the Ashramas and your psychophysical nature. So a king is supposed to be appointed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to look after the interests of his particular planet. On every planet, there is a predominating person, just as we now see that in every country there is a president. If one is president or king, it should be understood that this opportunity has been given to him by the Supreme Lord. According to the Vedic system, the king is considered a representative of Godhead and is offered respects by the citizens as God in the human form of life. Actually, according to Vedic information, the Supreme Lord maintains all living entities and especially human beings to elevate them to the highest perfection. After many, many births in lower species, when a living entity evolves to the human form of life, and in particular to the civilized human form of life, his society must be divided into 4 gradations, as ordered by the Supreme Personality Godhead. Chaturvaryam Maya Srishtam. The 4 social orders, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and are natural divisions of human society, and as declared by Prthu Maharaj. So every man in his respect social order must have proper employment for his livelihood. It is a duty of the king or the government to ensure that the people observe the social order and that they are also employed in their respective occupational duties. As Maharaj was telling us over the weekend, that if you carry out duties in your psychophysical nature, in your right varna, then you are actually connecting with Lord because he has made you like that. Then you actually are connected with him. So you are connecting with the Lord by doing your occupational duty that you have been given by the Lord. In modern times, since the protection of government or the king has been withdrawn, social order has practically collapsed. No one knows who is a Brahman, who is Kshatriya, who is Vaishya, or who is Shudra. So nowadays, there is really no definite occupation duty. It's so mixed. There's a mixture of everything in people, and they're doing different jobs, whatever jobs they can find, people are carrying out. And people claim to belong to a particular social order by birthright only. It is the duty of the government to re-establish social order in terms of occupation duties and the modes of material nature, for that will make the entire world population actually civilized. If it doesn't observe the institutional functions of the 4 social orders, human society is no better than animal society, in which there is never tranquility, peace, and prosperity, but only chaos and confusion. So Maharaj Prthu, as an ideal king, strictly observed the maintenance of the Vedic social order. So this is quite interesting that we discussed this a lot, but it was in time of Maharaj kings in those days, they actually observed it. Nowadays, we don't observe these things. So Prthu Maharaj guaranteed protection for Prajanam. So all living entities who took birth in his kingdom, or his praja, refers not only to human beings. So he guarantees protection to human beings, animals, trees, and every other living entity, not just humans. So animals, trees, and every other living entity as well. It is the duty of the king to give all living entities protection and food. The fools and rascals of modern society have no knowledge of the extent of the responsibility of the government. Animals are also citizens of the land in which they happen to be born, and they also have the right to continue their existence at the cost of the Supreme Lord. The disturbance of the animal population by wholesale slaughter produces a catastrophic future reaction for the butcher, his land, and his government. So wherever these animals are being killed, there's reactions coming for them, those people in the future. So Maharaj Prthu said, I think that upon the execution of my duty as king, I shall be able to achieve the desirable objectives described by experts in Vedic knowledge. This destination is certainly achieved by the pleasure of the Supreme Personality Godhead, who is the seer of all destiny. So Maharaj Prthu gives special stress to the word Brahman Vadina by the experts in Vedic knowledge. So Brahman, known as Brahma Vadina. They are experts in Vedic knowledge. Brahma refers to the Vedas, which are also known as Shabad Brahma, or transcendental sound. Transcendental sound is no ordinary language, although it appears to be written in ordinary language. Evidence from the Vedic literature should be accepted as final authority. In the Vedic literature, there is much information, and of course, there is information about the execution of king's duty. So a responsible king who executes his appointed duty by giving proper protection to all living entities on his planet is promoted to the heavenly planetary system, because he's doing his job properly. He's doing his the duty that he has been appointed by the Lord. So he goes to the higher planets. This is also dependent upon the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So there's no guarantees. The Lord decides by his mercy whether he's going to do that. It is not that if one executes his duty properly, he's automatically promoted. So we have to remember that we're doing the best we can, but the final decision lies with the Lord himself. So, we can do our duty, but then we have to have the right character and personality as well to please the Lord. We do our duty, but are we actually pleasing the Lord while we're doing our duty? That's very important. So it is not that if one executes his duty properly, is automatically promoted. For promotion depends upon the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality Godhead. It must ultimately be concluded that one can achieve the desired result of his activities upon satisfying the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed in the first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. The perfection of one's execution of his appointed duty is the ultimate satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Everyone desires to achieve the ultimate goal of life, but in modern civilization, the great scientists think that man's life has no plan. This gross ignorance is very dangerous and makes civilization very risky. People don't know the laws of nature, which are the rulings of the Supreme Personality Godhead, because they are atheists of the first order. They have no faith in the existence of God and his rulings, and therefore do not know how nature is working. So the gross ignorance of the mass of people, including even the so-called scientists and philosophers, makes life a risky situation in which human beings do not know whether they are making progress in life. So it goes on to say, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, they are simply progressing to the darkest region of material existence. The Krishna consciousness movement has therefore been started to give philosophers, scientists, and people in general the proper knowledge about the destiny of life. Everyone should take advantage of this movement and learn the real goal of life. So people are doing what they're doing without thinking about, what is this leading to? Because it's all about being materialistic. People are just thinking about this life and what they can achieve here. They're not thinking about the results of their karma or what they're doing, what's going to happen to them in the next life. Because obviously we know that there's reincarnation. Many people don't even believe that there is life after death. So they're trying to make the most of this life, and that might lead them to the darkest regions, it's mentioned. Any king who does not teach his citizens about the respective duties in terms of varna and ashrama, but who simply exacts tolls and taxes from them, is liable to suffer for the impious activities which have been performed by the citizens. So in addition to such degradation, the king also loses own fortunes. So anybody who has been put in charge, who has been appointed the leader, he has a big responsibility, because again, as we spoke before about the parents are the leaders in the house. They're leading their children, and we get reactions of our children's deeds. If our children are committing any impious activity, then we also get reactions for that, because we have failed somehow to teach them the right things. So we also get reaction for that. And similar with the leaders of any society, or with the kings in this case, that if the citizens are sinful, then the king also gets a reaction for that. And we also find that our guru, spiritual master, he takes on our sins, when we get initiated and we don't follow his instructions, then he gets a reaction. So it's very, very big responsibilities leading, and it's big also our responsibility as followers as well. A king, governor, or president should not take the opportunity to occupy his post without also discharging his duty. So just having, I am the leader, I'm the king, I'm the governor, is not enough. So you have to be prepared to follow the duty that you are appointed. He must teach the people within the state how to observe the divisions of varna and ashrama. If a king neglects to give such instructions and is simply satisfied with levying taxes, then those who share in the collection, namely all the government servants and the head of state, are liable to share in the impious activities of the general masses. The laws of nature are very subtle. For example, if one eats, so this is very interesting. For example, if one eats in a place which is very sinful, he shares in the resultant reaction of the sinful activities performed there. So Prabhupada mentioned that it is a Vedic system, therefore, for a householder to call Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to eat at ceremonial performances, but it is not the duty of religious Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to accept invitations everywhere. So you find sometimes the Brahmanas or the temple pujaris, that they will not eat in people's houses. It's obviously different for us. For Vaishnavas, somebody invites us to their home to do some kirtan, or to come for prasad, we go because we are eating prasad. We make sure that it has been offered properly to the Lord before we honor it. But just eating in somebody's house is mentioned here that it can be dangerous. To eat and ceremonial performances in his house, because the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas can immunize him for sinful activities. So, but it is not the duty of the religious Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to accept invitations everywhere. There is, of course, no objection to taking part in feasts in which prasad is distributed. There are many subtle laws which are practically unknown to people in general, but the Krishna conscious movement is very scientifically distributing all this Vedic knowledge for the benefit of the people of the world. So especially if you decide to eat in a restaurant that serves meat, so that's also dangerous. If you must eat in a restaurant, best to eat only vegetarian restaurant. If you're eating in a restaurant that's serving meat, that is killing various entities, then they are being sinful, and we're likely to probably suffer the sins of that place where we're eating. So mentioned here. Prthu Maharaj continued, therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of varna and ashrama, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interest, and you'll bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death. So Prthu Maharaj is very aware of the dangers that are upon followers and leaders. They have to be very careful. So he's pleading to them that, please, I'm not ordering you. I'm asking you, please, to do the right thing, live a pious life. No, please help yourself and help me, help your king as well. The king and citizen should both be Krishna conscious. Otherwise, both of them will be doomed to low species of life after death. A responsible government must teach Krishna consciousness very vigorously for the benefit of all. Without Krishna consciousness, neither the state nor the citizens of the state can be responsible. Prthu Maharaj therefore specifically requested the citizens to act in Krishna consciousness, and he was all so very anxious to teach them how to become Krishna conscious. So very important for a leader not to just tell people what to do. It's important that he actually shows them how to do it as well, because you can tell people, give people a lot of instruction, but if they don't know what to do, then it's really not their fault. If you're asking somebody to do something, might be a good idea to show them by example, or give a demonstration of what they have to do so they can follow. So a summary of Krishna consciousness is given in Bhagavad-Gita 9.27. Yat karoshi, yad ashnasi, yad juhosi dadasi, yat tapashyasi kunteya, tat krishva mad arpanam. So this is what you have to do. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you give in charity, and whatever penances you undergo should be done in Krishna consciousness, or for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If all the people of the state, including the government servants, are taught the techniques of spiritual life, then although everyone is liable to be punished in different ways by the stringent laws of material nature, they will not be implicated. So if everything is done with Krishna in the center, there is no sinful reaction. So if you're eating prasad, you are immunized. If you are working for Krishna, you're immunized. If you give in charity for Krishna, you're immunized. Otherwise, there are different modes of food, there are different modes of charity, there are different modes of penances, actions, and you could have complications or implications with that. So Prthu Maharaj continues, I request all the pure-hearted demigods, forefathers, and saintly persons to support my proposal, for after death, the result of an action is equally shared by its doer, its director, and its supporter as well. So the government of Prthu Maharaj was perfect because it was administered exactly according to the orders of the Vedic injunctions. Prthu Maharaj has already explained that the chief duty of the government is to see that everyone executes his respective duty and is elevated to the platform of Krishna consciousness. The government should be so conducted that ultimately one is elevated to Krishna consciousness. King Prthu therefore wanted the citizens to cooperate fully with him, or if they assented, they would enjoy the same profit as he after death. If Prthu Maharaj, as a perfect king, were elevated to the heavenly planets, the citizens who cooperated by approving of his method would also be elevated with him. Since the Krishna consciousness movement going out at the present moment is genuine, perfect, and authorized, and it's following in the footsteps of Prthu Maharaj, anyone who cooperates with this movement, accepts his principles, will get the same result as the workers who are actually propagating Krishna consciousness. Very good. So this is the situation. So Prthu Maharaj, he's talking about Sam Dham. He's going to Sam Dham. He's told them that, look, he's reasoned with them that this is what you have to do. And then he's talking about Dham as well, that what you will get from it, the compensation you'll receive by following this. So it's very interesting that he's told them there is a reward. I'm not just ordering you to do these things. If you do these things, there's a big reward in it as well. So please follow this and take advantage, not only for this life, in your further lives as well. You will benefit from this. So thank you all so much for joining. We have an intimate class today, but that's fine. My Father Loji, Jai Prabhu, welcome. Father Prabhu, welcome. Parveen Mataji, welcome to the program. Just love to hear from you. Jai Prabhu is listening. So Father Prabhu, we'll start with yourself. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Nice class again. On a few things which I made a note of when you are saying.
Sure.
Prthu Maharaj is mentioned that not to care about the envious. So it's very hard to understand really like who thinks about us in what way. So better not to focus on how other people are thinking. Best focus on your the main role, main work, main task. I think in that way, and do your duty and live and try to please the Lord. So there is no, even in Nature of Devotion, when we are reading that, we were told that finally getting the mercy of the Lord is not in your hand. Only you can do your duty, because Lord is independent. It is Lord's choice whether to bestow His mercy or not. There is no fast and forward rule that okay, do this, then Lord will be pleased. So Lord, you have to just keep on doing your duty and leave it to the Lord whether He'll get pleased with you or not. But one has to carry on with his own duty. That's it. And leaders should lead by an example. So you said that even parents should lead by an example to the children. If they are spoiled, then definitely there is some gap in us. That's what you said. And really, it's very difficult. Like when you are invited, whether to go to their house or not, then it becomes more difficult as well. So the basic principle is keep Krishna in the center. Then don't worry about that, because you are going to eat prasad, and in that way you will be free from that immunization. Like their symptoms get transferred to you through prasad, or when they cook, their consciousness may get transferred to us. So, but when you're thinking, when you're keeping Krishna in the center, then it will protect you from all those things. That's all, Prabhuji.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, sure, Prabhupada, when he was staying in people's houses, he used to say, I will cook for you. So that way he could, cook the food and also offer it as well and immunize himself. So that's, very, very good way of doing. But obviously we can't always do that. If you go to your relatives' houses, you can't say, I'll do the cooking, or you go to a friend's house that can do cooking. But, you can just guide them to offer it. But then again, it has to be, well, obviously, if they're cooking for us, they would have to cook it with our onion and garlic, and in mode of goodness. And yeah, then we can ask them to offer it, or we can show them as well. Something they can learn that this is, we offer boga to the Lord, and then becomes prasad, and it's quite interesting. People might even appreciate it that is done that way, that we are eating like this. So it's very interesting. Whereas like the Christians, they actually pray to thank the Lord. So that's their way of honoring the prasad. Our way is to actually offer it to the Lord, because it belongs to the Lord in the first place. Offer it to the Lord, and then it becomes prasad. So yeah, I think definitely very, very good advice there by Srila Prabhupada. That
Yeah, my mother's elder sister. We normally follow this Sri Sampradaya, and they are very close associates of Chinnajaya Swami, who is leading the Sri Sampradaya mostly. And whenever my Peddamma used to come to our house, they used to cook for themselves. Like they used to take one room and they used to cook for themselves aside. So I used to think like, why they are so superstitious? They call themselves as devotees, but they cook themselves. They don't mingle with everybody. But now I understand, like there is a hidden reason for that, why they were doing that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Sometimes people think, oh, they're fussy and this, they don't like anybody's cooking or something. They don't, they have like particular taste or something. But that's not the case. It's that they are following Vedic injunctions actually. So yeah, but this is the thing, Prabhu. Sometimes we think about people, um, this and that. Why they done this? Why they said that? But then if you think about it, that okay, that person must have his reasons for doing what they did, for saying what they said. Then sort of puts things in perspective. That's fine. The person must have their reason. I've had situations where uh, some people have fallen out with some friend, but I've gone up to them and said, okay, so okay, I understand. You must have reasons for doing what you did. and they really appreciate it. So I think, wow, he's actually understood, whether I've understood or not, right? But because I'm just by saying that, people appreciate that that you have understood that yes, they had their reasons, although they can't always disclose the reasons. They had their reasons for their actions, and similarly, us, we have sometimes we do things people don't appreciate, but we have our reasons. We can't always explain our reasons, isn't it? So, but yeah, like you say, with time, sometimes you understand, okay, that's why they were doing that. Then you're just not ready to understand right now the reason, but later on, we can understand that yes, these people, what they did, there was a bigger purpose behind it, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Praveen Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam, everyone. It's very nice class. And yeah, all the points like Partha Prabhu has said. And yeah, that's what I was thinking. We have to look at ourselves rather than thinking like we're doing the chanting, we're doing reading Bhagavatam. So we have to keep, all our vices under control as well. And like humility was the main thing that, like Prthu Maharaj, despite, like I read the previous verses as well, uh, how they welcomed him, and he was not like, he didn't become too pompous, like, oh, they're doing this for me. He was still very humble, and he took everything. And like, we're talking about the prasad, so what I do, like when I get invitation, like my daughter's in-laws, and then like if there's a function, I always offer to cook, and I'll cook one or two dishes, offer them to Lord, and then at least I know what I'm eating there. So because you can't make a big, like in certain families, then you have to be careful how much you can say. So I have told them that we don't eat onion and garlic, but then still, like, they made a few dishes, and she was telling me clearly there's no onion, and I didn't eat it. My daughter did, because they still eat, my older girls, and and she said, "Mom, good you didn't eat. It's got garlic and whole cloves of garlic in it."
The onion, but garlic.
Yeah, and also we thought maybe she didn't cook it herself, so it was cooked by somebody else. So otherwise, why was she saying there is nothing in it? So, but I don't trust anybody. And now my like friend from many years, she's having part in Gurdwara, and then she wanted RSVP. I didn't reply because she knows I don't even eat when I go to her house now. So, and she said, she wants to know for the prasad, and I said, I will come to the Gurdwara, but I will not eat. And don't ask me to eat in front of people either, because I don't want to, like, oh, why don't you eat it?
Yeah.
This. So do we don't want everybody's attention, or because like they're all Sikh people from the town. So, then so I will come, but don't ask me to eat. And then the other point Prabhuji was saying that, like, we just need to serve, so we don't have to worry about who's envious of us, like. And I always believe, like, I see people like I am, jasi drishti vaisi srishti. So I can't even tell if somebody's envious of me, because I like everybody. And then that's how, my simple, I always say ignorance is bliss. So, but like people tell me, no, it's not. My daughter, she tells me, no, mom, that's not right. I said, no, it has worked for me. And that's how, we just trust, believe in God, and we just want to do the right thing. And yeah, and other thing that came to my mind is like the importance of the book distribution, like how Srila Prabhupada ji has written so nicely. So it will be so nice for everybody to read all this and save the poor animals from slaughtering and everything. So yeah, so that was my desire. And also I want everybody to read it and see how important it is to look after not only the humans, but now even the humans are treated like animals, and it just breaks your heart. Even the mothers, I shouldn't be reading it, but like, still got this habit, in the evening I'll just sit, oh, I'll just look at Daily Mail, and my daughter, younger daughter, she tells me, oh, mom, why are you doing it? You read Bhagavatam, then you're wasting time. I said, no, I just want to just relax now, just little, and you read all these horrible stories where the mother on drugs, and they killed their 10-month-old, 2-year-old child, and you think, what is happening to the society, honestly. The mother is the one who like gives up everything for the child. And so I think it's again being away from the God. So I went for a walk and I met two Sikh ladies from the town, and then we were just talking, about the weddings and how it's not children not being able to get married, and if they are and it's not working. And I said, well, the whole reason is because people are away from God. So that is the main cause of everything, being away from God, and then they've got all different expectations and sense gratification, and yeah. So yeah, the main thing is connect with Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you so much to you, Prabhuji, and Srila Prabhupada. I feel very blessed.
Absolutely. Srila
Thanks.
these instruments for us to use. Now, the thing is, we're discussing Prthu Maharaj, who's king of the world, and from what I would assume that there's only one faith there, and that they're all following the king, and they're following the Vedas, and and they respect him. But now we have, well, for start, we have democracy in every country, which means the people have, well, we have different faiths as well. So how do you, how do you come with different faiths mean different interests? There's conflict of interest. Like we don't eat meat. We're like the Eid today, when Muslims they're eating a lot of meat. They also have Bakri. Then for their faith allows them to eat meat. So sacrifices. It's very, it's quite daunting, that in the Kali Yuga. How do you cope with these things? Because the Vedic injunctions really not followed. Everybody has their own scriptures that they're following, and we can't. It's very difficult to connect. So very difficult for the government to try and please everyone, or trying to get people to follow. Even like we had, like say we have Prthu Maharaj here right now, and he was the prime minister, and he wants people to follow the injunctions. It would be very difficult because everybody following their own different faiths, isn't it? So
Yeah, these are just created, Prabhuji, like Sanatan Dharma is the eternal. And we were just like Googling, like this is not recent, but a few years back. I don't know what was happening, me and my husband. And then even like Islam does not allow meat. These are all, they've just made up these things that, oh, we are allowed to do this and we are allowed to do that. And now you see, because like when I was living in Solihull, dropping my daughter at school, King's Heath, and then I used to walk in the park. And again, there were lots of Muslim ladies, and they wouldn't even like me and my friend used to walk. They wouldn't even talk to us, even if we say hello, they wouldn't reply. And then one day, one lady was on her own, and I said, "Is it okay if I walk with you?" She said, "Yeah." Then I asked her, I said, "If you don't mind, why you don't speak to us?" "Oh, no, no, this. And she spoke very well English, because first I asked her, what shall I speak in Hindi, Punjabi, or English? She said, "Oh, I can speak English." And then we were just talking about diet and this and that, the religion. And then she said, actually, we only eat meat now one day. So was very interesting. And then so many friends, because like King's Heath, like majority of like children were Indian and half of them were like Muslim community. And so many girls, they became vegetarian with my daughter. So which tells, like in like somewhere, they are should be vegetarian, but then it's just the way, like I think all the kings, I don't know much about history, but then whatever they did in India, they were just so cruel and killing, and it just became like, oh yeah, they can kill anybody, and and
yeah,
animals are like nothing to them.
we had Muhammad, who comes to our temple, our Sunday program. He's always sending me stuff, and like he said his brother-in-law from Glasgow is becoming a vegetarian. He doesn't like meat, and he'll send me like overconsumption of meat, while the prophet was, he says I don't know what that means, semi-vegetarian, but it's like that. And I heard a class that because like we still thinking that this pious